Right, well, let us respond to the previous recording of Tenzin.
Buddhism not published, not accepted.
No. I'm life-affirming. It's true that things are contrast in this experience in the classroom. We're separated out and we have highs and lows. There are times of great joy and times of great sadness. To avoid the sadness, we do not pursue also avoiding the joy. That is to say, there's life and death, and I reject both. I separate out life from death, and I live the life. That is what God has done. He's taken what we see as nothing because it's complete contradiction and taken out of it life. From the minerals in the ground, as primitive man might have seen it, we have taken out and constructed our cities and our technology and our comforts. We are mini builders, just as God is a fantastic creator. We are the children of God. That's the position I hold. I'm not retreating from the chaos into a silent oblivion where I'm neither hot nor cold. Where I live so in the present that I don't live at all. I'm not come to sit motionless. I'm not come to destroy the good with the bad. I'm not come to surrender death and life. I'm come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. I'm not come for sacrifice. I'm not come demanding crucifixion and payment. I am not a primitive God. Your experience of living should have taught you that all that you have is a gift. None of it is of your own doing. And it's brought you into existence, into being. This is my gift to you, life. And my training to you is to life eternal, that you become a full citizen of my family in heaven, full of all that you truly value, life and hope, joy and peace, shalom if you like, love, devotion, purity, communion, fellowship if you like, on a scale you can't dream of at the minute, for transcendence also beyond your imagination at the present. And come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. This is life eternal, to know thee, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom thou hast sent. And that last bit is simply to say, the way, the example, not something to be worshipped, but to be known and understood. And if truly known, truly followed. And if truly followed, truly to arrive safely. I am the way, the truth and the life. So here's our example. And I don't mean that the record of such is perfect, is complete. But I do mean that it's sufficient. And it's the only way in the sense that it's a way of life. From our point of view, it's the way of love and kindness, forgiveness and grace, goodness and purity, and all the character that we attribute to God. And we know what that is. As I said before, even the secular man in the street could tell you what it would be. In large measure, of course. It's not an austere path. It's not a path of surrendering all that is good with all that is bad. It's a path of joy and of gladness, of great comfort, of enormous relief, of goodness. A path that speaks of its destination, which is the goodness and loveliness of life eternal. That's what I believe. If I find anything else suspicious, suspect, I treat it with caution. I know my God. My sheep hear my voice. They follow me. That's what Jesus is recorded as saying, of course. We've tasted and seen in this world, and we know what is good and what is evil in large measure. And we gravitate to that which is good. We don't discard both the good and the bad in order to get some sublime state that is transcendent of both. There's life and there's death. We choose life. We don't reject it with the death. We don't buy it with the negative. We don't buy it by surrendering the positive either. Do I invest in the future? Yes, by pursuing that which is good, not by rejecting it, not by ignoring it, not by discounting it. On the contrary, I worship the very essence of goodness, because goodness is of God, by definition. Thank you, Heavenly Father. So we can avoid anger by not wanting the good or the bad, by wanting instead some state where we're never frustrated because we're not actually pursuing anything. We're not creating anything, so we can't be disappointed or have it ruined because that's not what we value. We're not doing that. Now, if God were equipped with such a view, there would be no universe as we know it, no material world, and we would not exist. That assumes, of course, that for us to exist, there must have been a motive, an intention. Somewhere there was an intention of whatever constitutes at heart a person. And I don't mean by that, of course, necessarily what presents as a person in this world, in this dimension that we're in. As an aside then, how do we avoid anger, given we do want the good and do not want the bad? Well, by surrendering our desire to rule incompetently, given our experience, and to defer major decisions to the love of God. And that makes sense. If God is all-powerful, all-loving, all-capable, all-understanding, and they are the things that we value. That is what we would value. Full understanding, full goodness, full creativity, full ability to pursue and achieve and not bring harm and destruction. And it's just that we're children and we know we're not good at it. So yes, we do wish to experiment in little ways, but we don't wish to put ourselves totally at risk by making horrendously large decisions that we don't have the competence and the understanding to do wisely. Nothing very momentous in coming to this conclusion. Very simple. Man in the street could have told you that. No problem. Without much thought, could have said, well, I want the good, and if there is the opportunity of surrendering to someone who both loves me and truly does want the good and is able to achieve it, well, that's far more rational. But I should experiment a little so that I grow in stature and become like him, because he is what I value, as is the shrine, such is the worshipper. Living is not naturally sitting endlessly meditating. Living is not denying eating the good fruit in the garden. Some fruit you shouldn't eat. It's poisonous, and it's there to guide you as to what you do truly value, to confirm, to establish well in your being the path of truth and of life. And you want nothing to do with that fruit. You taste it in small ways in these transitory lives that we play in the material world. And we taste and see that that is bitter, and we don't like it, we don't want it, and we will avoid it. And we learn to pursue good. That's what worship is. It's to set aside that which is of death and to embrace all that is of life and goodness. And that which is of life and goodness brings joy and peace. And we see it in the transitory. A nice meal makes you content. A not so nice meal makes you ill. So we start to choose the nice meals. Any creature can tell you that, really. Or we despise our caricature of the dog that she eats her own sick. Because we say quite rightly, well, that seems a foolish thing to do, doesn't it? It wouldn't do us any good. I don't know how she's got a constitution that takes it, but we're certainly not doing it. But we don't look at the example and say, my goodness, some things bring harm. Let's have no things at all, just in case we get the bad with the good. No, we pursue the good, and we ruthlessly weed out the bad. But we're left with the good. And we construct castles in the air. And sure, they are toys, but it's something of the learning. We learn from our play. We learn from this transitory world. We don't despise the transitory. We don't despise the bad. It's put here as a blessing to us that we learn and understand it. Understand to avoid it. Nothing new here. But the fact that it is not new does not mean that it's not fundamentally what we are at and who we are, who our Heavenly Father is too. He builds from chaos, from nothing, from what we couldn't even see as ruin. He builds celestial family, perfect for him to abide with and us to abide in too. Thank you, Heavenly Father.